There are a lot of reasons that healing from narcissistic abuse can be very difficult and can take a very long time. One of those reasons is that it's very hard for a lot of us to let go of those last shreds of hope that maybe somehow the narcissist will change. Maybe somehow we're going to be that 1 in a million exception and we're going to make it. We're going to be able to reconcile with the narcissist and everything's going to be the way that we always dreamed it was going to be. As nonsensical and irrational as this can be, even when we acknowledge how irrational it is, it's not that easy to let go of this hope. In this video, I want to help anybody that is stuck in this toxic hope expand their perspective a little bit and see why, even if the narcissist was to change, it doesn't really matter. And I hope that I can help some of you loosen your grip just a little on that toxic hope that's so hard to let go of. Welcome to Looking Behind the Mirror, where we explore narcissism and take our lives back as we make sense out of nonsense. As a quick disclaimer, everything I say is based on my opinions and my personal experiences. I'm not a professional, and if you're really struggling, I encourage you to seek professional help. I am providing links below for you. So in this video, I'm going to go over several specific reasons that even if the narcissist in your life could or did change, it really wouldn't be what your mind is making it out to be. It really wouldn't change anything or magically turn this into a healthy relationship. Before I go into those reasons, I want to first set the foundation of understanding that narcissists cannot stop being narcissists. Anybody that is pathologically narcissistic has already developed the way that they perceive reality. They cannot perceive reality in a different way. Narcissists will always be narcissists, and narcissists are narcissists 24/7, and there's nothing that anyone can do about that. The idea of a pathologically narcissistic person becoming not a narcissist would be kind of like expecting somebody to learn a foreign language as an adult, a foreign language they've never heard in their life before adulthood, expecting that person to learn that language with native fluency to where natives won't be able to tell that they're not natives, and to get to the point where they actually think in their new language. And to accomplish all of this while not really wanting to do it. I mean, maybe it's not completely impossible, but I think you can see how many roadblocks there would be to this. It just isn't gonna happen. Narcissists' way of perceiving reality, the way that they feel is right, the way they interpret their emotions, this is deeply ingrained. The way that we perceive reality is something that we slowly learn through childhood. It's like wet cement that's slowly hardening. And after we become an adult, that cement or that concrete has hardened. You can't really go back and break it up and expect for it to set like somebody else's did. A narcissist's mind, a narcissist's way of perceiving reality is never going to be, quote, normal. It really is too late for that. But that being said, I think we all know, especially those of us that are hanging on to toxic hope, that it's not impossible for a narcissist to change. Yeah, they might not be able to stop being narcissists, but it is possible for a narcissist to learn to treat people better. Now, it's not likely, but I know that if you're holding on to toxic hope, it's because you're holding on to those tiny little shreds. You're holding on to that 1 in a million chance that maybe the narcissist you know is going to be that one person that actually does change. It's kind of like telling someone that's addicted to gambling that it is impossible for them to win the lottery. Well, that's not really true, is it? It's not impossible to win the lottery. It's just almost impossible. And that almost impossible, when we're stuck in these desperate, addictive mind traps, that almost impossible is enough to keep us hanging on to very toxic thought patterns and a lot of pain. So I'm going to go over several real reasons that this doesn't matter. Even if you were to, quote, win the lottery, it doesn't matter. You're not going to win in this relationship. And this relationship is not worth waiting around for. And I'm going to explain why. First of all, if the narcissist does change, Again, best case scenario is that they learn to treat people better. This is never going to be motivated by the way that you feel. Narcissists won't change because of other people. They just are not motivated by that. They will change if they can see that it's going to benefit them. And sometimes this can happen if they hit rock bottom. It's rare, but it's possible for a narcissist to go through so much crap that they finally are willing to face that they are the one causing most of their own problems. So if this was to happen and they were to find a therapist that could help them with their narcissism, and they did learn how to treat people better, they would never be doing it for you. They would never be doing it for your benefit. It's important to understand this because I know that we can get trapped in this idea that if we could somehow just make them see that they're causing their own problems, then they would be so much better off if they could just see that all they need to do is just be a little bit nicer, be a little more reasonable, and their life would change dramatically for the better. You will never be able to convince a narcissist of this. A narcissist, even if they could see this, they don't want to hear it from you. They absolutely will never listen to someone that they've mistreated, someone that they're in this sort of ego war with now. They're never going to listen to what you have to say. Even if they believed you, their ego is way too invested against it to ever acknowledge what you're saying. You cannot help a narcissist see that they have mistreated you, that the problems in your relationship are because of how unreasonable and irrational they are. In fact, the more that you try to teach them, the more that you try to hint or tell them that they are narcissistic or they are irrational or if they would just change, the more they're going to become resistant to it. If you really want a narcissist to realize that he or she is really the problem, the best thing you could do to increase your odds is to never say anything that even hints towards that. They would have to come to that conclusion on their own, and they would have to feel like it was their idea. Narcissists can never allow anyone to teach them anything, and that definitely includes people that they've mistreated and people that they're now in this ego war with. So even past all of that, even if you somehow beat all the odds, you were 1 in a million, and the narcissist in your life finally saw of his or her own accord that they were the one that needed to change, that they've been cruel, unfair, unreasonable, that their expectations are impossible to meet, and that they need help, and they go to a therapist. First of all, somebody that's pathologically narcissistic needs years of specialized help, and that's if they want it. So even in this best case scenario, the narcissist isn't going to go to therapy for a month or two and suddenly learn how to be a nice person. This is a long-term commitment that would take years just to get to a point where this person isn't mean to you anymore. And so let's say that has happened. We've somehow achieved this miracle. Now what? Well, we may have gotten so caught up in the fantasy of this happening to us that we haven't really stopped to think about what would come next. I know for me, one thing that I thought about that really kind of helped me let go of some of this hope was the lies that had been told about me to other people. The narcissist had told all kinds of lies, made all kinds of exaggerations, and complained endlessly about how awful I was to anyone that would listen, to mutual friends, to his family, to his parents. So how is that going to be repaired? Let's say in this best case scenario, the narcissist gets therapy and decides to be a nice person and spends years learning how to be nice. Is the narcissist really going to go back to all these people that he's told all these stories to and say, hey, I was way off base. I was making things up because I couldn't take accountability for the way that I actually destroyed the relationship? The narcissist is not going to do that. I think if you imagine this in your own specific scenario, you can see how unlikely and how awkward this is going to be. I mean, do you really think you're going to be able to go to a barbecue with this person with all these friends that now think you're terrible? How's that going to work out? Or are you just going to continue on in this relationship with this person and never see or talk to any of these people again? That's not healthy either. Another thing that we need to remember is that narcissists cannot respect people. They just do not respect anyone. And they especially will never be able to respect someone that they have abused. Narcissists are like addicts, and they find people that they can use as punching bags, that they can use for validation, that they can use to make themselves feel in control, to make themselves feel powerful. And if their brain kind of latches onto you as a source of what makes them feel good about themselves, what makes them feel powerful, as somebody that they can pick on, as someone that they can vent their frustrations out onto, someone that they can use as an emotional punching bag, they aren't really going to be able to give that up. In a way, it's kind of like handing alcoholic drinks to an alcoholic and expecting nothing to ever get out of control again. That pattern is nearly impossible to let go of, and if the narcissist was really serious about turning over a new leaf and learning completely new patterns of behavior, it would probably be advisable that they spend as little time with you as possible. Another thing to keep in mind is that narcissists are not sorry. Even if a narcissist can admit that the way that they've been living their life has been causing them problems and that they need to learn how to be nicer, they're not going to be sorry for what they've done to you. They just are incapable of it. They might be sorry about the consequences that it's cost them, and if they are sorry enough about that, that they actually learned that it's their fault, even then, they're not going to be sorry about the pain that they've caused you. They are never going to be sorry about the way that it has affected you. They don't care about that, and they cannot learn to care. Even in therapy, even if they try, they don't care, and they never will. So imagine that you're reconciled with this person and they've learned how to be nicer and they've made all this progress, but just think about all the things that they've done in the past, all the abusive things that they've said to you, maybe names they've called you, maybe ways that they have tormented you, and just think about the fact that they are not sorry for that. Even if they're able to get off the idea that it's all your fault and you deserved it anyway, which is what 99.9% of them are going to think until the day they die, even if they're able to get off of that idea, they still aren't going to be sorry. They can't say, I'm sorry, and really mean it. And you would have to be able to accept that. You'd have to be able to accept that the best that you're going to get is somebody that no longer does those things to you, but doesn't really care that they did and doesn't really care about the way that it probably still affects you. Imagine trying to build a healthy relationship with someone that's deeply hurt you and doesn't really care. Another thing to keep in mind is that narcissists are never going to be able to forgive you for not just accepting their abusive behavior. So even if a narcissist in this best case fantasy scenario that I'm laying out admitted that they needed to change their behavior and go to therapy and learn how to be nicer, even if they did all that, they're still going to resent you for pushing them to that. Because what a narcissist really wants is to be accepted the way they are. Narcissists do not want to change. A narcissist that's been pushed so far, that's sunk so low that they have finally admitted that they need to change, is a narcissist that's going to have some resentments towards the people that put them there. And if you were the last person that was an abuse victim of theirs, they're going to resent you for pushing them that far. They're going to resent you for not just accepting their abusive behavior, because in their mind, they had a good reason to act that way, and you should have just accepted it. So even in this best case scenario, yeah, they might be treating you nicer, but they're always going to be a little resentful that you weren't okay with their abusive behavior in the past. They're always going to be a little bit resentful. They might even imagine that you're holding this over their head for the rest of their life. They're going to resent you, and they're not going to be able to forgive you. And I don't see how you could ever build a healthy relationship with someone under those circumstances. I also think it's helpful to really think about all the things this person has done to you. Maybe even take out a piece of paper and write things down. For some of us, we may have very clear things that we can come up with, that we can write a list of all the terrible things this person has done to us that are clear, that are easy to communicate to other people. But for some of us that have maybe experienced more gaslighting and emotional abuse, it may be a little more difficult to describe what we've experienced. So don't let me make you feel invalidated in any way. I completely acknowledge that some of us have endured horrific abuse that isn't very easy to describe and is almost impossible to somehow list like I'm describing now. But if you are recovering from a relationship in which you can list specifically the things that were done to you, I would encourage you to do that and really look at this list of things that you've had to put up with over who knows how many years, and ask yourself why you would want to give this person another minute of your emotional energy. Look at the things that they've done. Think about the way they've made you feel about yourself. Really bring up the insults that they've hurled at you and the ways that they've tormented you, and ask yourself, could I really, realistically, ever learn how to trust this person again? I'm holding on to these tiny shreds of hope that maybe he or she is going to see the light and change. But really, in reality, if I'm being fair with myself, could I learn how to change and trust this person again? Could I ever really feel safe with this person after what they've done? Would I ever really be able to get over all the things that I've already endured with this person? I think these questions can really help you add some clarity to a very confusing, painful process. The bottom line here is you cannot force someone to have empathy. You cannot convince somebody that they need help if they're convinced that they don't. You cannot make somebody see things in a way that they just don't see things and don't want to see them. You can't make someone care, and even they can't make themselves care. All these things that you're desperately hoping for, that you're holding onto these tiny shreds of hope for, that you're longing for, that you desperately wish that this person could just do, these things that seem so simple, if only he or she could just do X, Y, and Z. All of these things already exist in other people. I promise you that there are people out there that already just naturally do these things that you're longing for, and so much more. You don't have to pour all of your emotional energy into this desperate wishing for something that already exists somewhere else. You don't have to keep trying to squeeze it out of someone that just will never be able to give it to you. These people that are abusive and lack empathy and are completely lost in their own emotional storms in their head, they are never going to think of you. They're never going to be what you need them to be. They really don't have it in them. They're never going to be able to give you what you really need to be in a happy, functional, mutually beneficial relationship. But you don't need them to. There are people in the world, there are people right now that already offer all of these things just because that's the kind of person they are. And I would encourage you to focus your energy on yourself. Focus your energy on how you can be in a state of mind and in a state of emotional health that will allow you to engage with someone that's already ready for a healthy relationship. If you never give up on yourself and you never give up trying to prepare yourself for a healthy relationship, one day you'll look back and you'll wonder why you wasted so much time and energy on somebody that just wasn't worth it. I hope this helps. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and comment below any ideas you have for me for future videos. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you like this video and would like to see more like it in the future. Until next time, thanks. Bye.